This video will be an introduction to contouring. It'll be just enough information to really get you started, and then we'll cover some of the more advanced features and tools in a later video. So there's a couple of main ways to insert contours. So first of all, we're in the contouring workspace. To add contours, we're going to focus on these first two options. So the first option is new structure. Now there's a label and then there's an ID. So a label is you can click and use this drop down to search through all the labels, or if you say that we want to add the spinal cord, you can just start typing and it's going to filter those responses for you. So we'll pick spinal cord. The label is fixed. You have to pick a label. If there is not a label for the structure you want to draw, you would just pick something that's very close, or there's generic options like control region or undefined normal tissue. You can always use those. Let's go back to spinal cord. So the ID is what we'll actually see listed over here in our list of contours, and you can change that to whatever you want. We'll just leave it at spinal cord for this case. The type, there's a bunch of types. It will automatically pick the correct type for you. The type is really only for your own organization. It does not affect anything else within Eclipse. And then of course you can change the color. So there are different options in here. You can see there's segment, translucent, contour. What that will do is it'll affect mostly how you see that contour represented in a 3D view. But let's see, if we choose segment and I zoom in here to draw the chord, you can see how it fills in that contour with green. Now if I right click and go to properties, I can change this color in here, and let's do contour dark green. You can see now it changed. It's only the outline, it's only the contour, it's not filled in. So you pick your type of color just kind of based on what you want to see and whatever's easiest for you to visualize. The other way to add contours is this second option, new structure from templates. This is a good way to add multiple structures all at once. So if we find our head neck template, you can see it has all the contours that we would want to be contoured in order to do a treatment plan. You can deselect or select any contours that you want. We want to create the whole list. So now we have our whole list of contours here. To get started contouring, you just click on the contour that you want. So we're gonna keep contouring our chord. Let's go to this one since we added this one manually. Okay, my favorite contouring tool and the one I use most often is the very top, draw a planar contour. This one is very flexible. You can do a lot of different things. So the first thing is if you simply left mouse click and hold it down, you can draw a contour that way. The other way to do it is you can click or you can do a combination. You can hold the mouse down and contour, stop and start to click, and then finish. You can do it however you want. The other nice thing about this tool is it's very easy to edit your contour. So if I want to add to my existing contour, if I simply start inside and then finish inside and then right click, it's going to add. So again, I'm starting inside, I'm contouring what I want to add, finishing inside, and then right clicking, it's adding. If I want to erase a part of my contour, I would start outside and end outside, right click, and it'll delete. So it's going to erase the smaller area between the two. So right now if I do this and right click, it's going to erase this area since it's smaller than this area. So that's always something important to keep in mind. You can also do multiple in and outs at the same time. So if I start in, I want to add this area over here, but I want to cut out this area. So it's going to add this area, but cut out this area with a right click. See that? So you can very quickly edit your contour and make it look how you want it to look without switching back and forth between any other tools. The other nice feature is you can see when it highlights like that. I can click right on the line and then manipulate the contour that way. If I right click and hold it down and drag left to right, you can see that white line gets bigger or smaller. So I can change the length of that deformation. So if I want to move a big section of my contour, I can move it to the right. Now if I click, it is changing that whole white line, or that bigger portion. If I drag it more to the left and make it very small, it's only moving that small portion. So you have a lot of flexibility all with this one tool. Lastly, if you click on your contour and make sure it's highlighted, Control C and then move to another slice, and Control V, you can copy it right to your next slice. Again, Control C, next slice, Control V, copy and paste. So a lot can happen with this one tool. The next tool, which is also commonly used, is the brush tool. You have a few different options up here. Right now we're in 2D mode and static, meaning it's only going to contour on this one slice. You see it's only contouring one slice worth. Thing to note is so the icon looks like a brush right now, so it is only ever adding to my contour. No matter what I do, if I contour over here, if I contour inside, you see there's already contour there, so it won't add any more contour. If I hold the shift key down, that brush turns into an eraser. So now wherever I contour, it's going to erase. See that? To adjust the size of your brush, you can come over here and drag it around, or type in a size. If you want something like, say we want exactly a 2 cm circle, type 2 cm. The other way is to right mouse click and hold it down and drag left to right. That'll also adjust the size. So if we want to erase all this, we can make it very big, and whoops, hold down my shift key, erase everything. You can also contour in 3 dimensions. So right now I have a 1 cm diameter. So if I contour right here, you can see it just is going to contour a 1 cm sphere, 1 cm diameter sphere in all 3 dimensions. Lastly, you can use the adaptive tool. So the adaptive tool, you can see it's changing that that circle. It's trying to adapt to the Hounsfield units. It's most useful for air. So if I want to quickly contour this air cavity very accurately, I can use this adaptive tool to contour that. And then I can use it also to erase this part that's spilled out and very quickly contour that airway. The next tool, if you don't want to hold the shift key down, you can use the eraser. It works exactly the same way, you just don't have to hold that shift key down. And you have the same functionality as the brush tool, just only the eraser. It is kind of nice because you have this option here. Let's contour in some brainstem. Now let's contour. You have it on the brush tool, the brush tool too. So if I want to contour something immediately next to this brainstem contour, but I don't want it to overlap, you can tell it don't overlap with brainstem. So now when I try to contour over here, you can see it won't let me overlap with that brainstem. Same thing with the eraser, so you can avoid erasing over a structure. Next, we're going to go over some of these tools down here. This wand is the segmentation wizard, so you can use that to auto contour for you. Sometimes it works really well, sometimes you need to make small edits, sometimes it doesn't work at all. So let's go over here to this chord contour and see if it'll do our spinal cord for us. So you can see here, to give a starting point for the segmentation, select the target structure and contour the spinal cord on one transverse image plane, then press apply. So we're going to contour it on one slice. Going to come back to our segmentation wizard, hit apply, and it's going to use that contour to try to guess or auto contour our spinal cord. You can see it it's pretty jagged, it doesn't look super great. It makes its way into the brain up here, so it did not do a super good job. So it's just one of those tools that you certainly can try out. In my experience, it works pretty well for the brain, not so well for these other ones, but always worth a shot. If it doesn't work, you can simply clear from all planes and try a different route. This flood fill option does work pretty well. One particular area I like to use it for is the lungs. So say this is a lung that we were trying to contour. I could come here to, let's say it was the left lung, so I'm just going to click in that left lung, click apply, and it's going to fill in areas that are close to this Hounsfield unit number. To adjust it, so right now if we want to only contour that left lung, it obviously over contoured, so we can drag this to the left to the smaller portion, hit apply again, and you can see it only did that left side, and then you can fine tune it from there if you feel that it's still over contouring or if it's under contouring. It's a very useful tool. Next would be a margin for structure. Pretty simple. Select the structure. Say we want to add 1 cm to this structure. Create outer margin. Use symmetrical margin. We can do 1 right there. Apply. So we just added 1 cm to that contour. You can also use it to come to a new contour. So say this one. And we want to add a margin from the one we just contoured. Click apply. So you just added 1 more, but on this new contour. So now this new contour has a 1 cm margin around this contour. You can do the opposite way too. So we click apply. We now just created a contour for this selected one that's 1 cm inside this other contour. And then of course you can, right now we're doing symmetrical expansions. If you uncheck this box, you can do asymmetrical expansions as well. Post-processing is useful. There's a lot you can do with it, but right now we're just going to focus on the default option, which is this cleanup and then remove parts smaller than 0.5 cm squared. So basically what it's going to do is if we accidentally created a teeny tiny contour somewhere like that, it just happens sometimes when contouring, but it's obviously not real, and we know it's not real. And so an easy way to get rid of some of that type of stuff is just to quickly post-process. And we'll leave these two checked. We'll leave it at 0.5. And then here the difference is if I use 2D, it'll only post-process the slice I'm currently on. If I do 2D all, it will post-process every slice separately. And then 3D, it'll look at the whole 3D volume. So that'll kind of change how some of these other tools work. But for this option up here, we'll just leave it at 2D all. And when I click apply, notice we have this contour right here, this small one. Click apply, it gets rid of that because it was smaller than 0.5 cm squared. Next is the extract wall tool. This is the tool used to create rings. So if we want to make a ring around this lung contour here, we're going to select this contour here that we're pretending is this lung. And then this, we need to use this wall thickness properly. So it can be a little confusing, but let's say I want to create a 1 cm thick ring, 1 cm outside of this contour. So it'll kind of be out here, 1 cm away and then 1 cm thick. Well, the outer wall of that contour would be 2 cm away, right? We have that 1 cm gap and then that 1 cm thickness. And then the inner wall margin, if we look at this picture, it's wanting to put the inner wall inside of our contour, but we actually want it to be outside 1 cm. So I'm going to put a -1 in here. So if we kind of compare it to this picture here, our outer wall is going to be 2 cm away. And then our inner wall, instead of going 1 cm in, we put a negative number so that it goes out. So it's going to be 1 cm out. So I click apply, creates a 1 cm thick ring that's 1 cm outside of our lung. Just to show you, if we put a +1 in here and hit apply, it looks like this. So our inner wall is 1 cm inside our contour, and our outer wall is still 2 cm outside of our contour. And the next would be crop structure. Pretty self-explanatory. So let's crop this bigger one. We'll crop the littler one out of it. So let's do cochlea left, remove parts extending inside cochlea right. Apply. You can see we just cut out that contour. You can also do an additional margin. So say we wanted to cut out that contour but add 2 more millimeters. We would type 0.2 in here. Click apply. You can see it cut out that contour inside, but it also added an additional 2 millimeter margin. And then we have our Boolean tool right here. So this is a useful tool. Say I want to add these 2 contours back into each other, or I want to add this right cochlea to this left cochlea contour. I'm going to do left cochlea. We have an add here, right cochlea, apply. So we just added those 2 together. There's still this 2 millimeter gap because that's what we added in our previous tool. But now both those have been added together. You can subtract contours. You can only keep the overlap. You have parentheses, so you can kind of create an expression down here. You can do a lot of things with this tool. And then the last one I want to go over is the interpolate option. So let's go back to our chord contour. Let's use the brush to make a 1.3 cm circle. And I'm going to contour every few slices. So contour, go down 3 slices, contour, down 3 slices. You can see I'm just contouring the chord, but I'm skipping a few slices just to make things go faster, make my life easier. When I'm done, I can come to this interpolate. I have the chord selected, click apply, and it'll just interpolate in between all those contours. It'll fill in the gaps. So it depends on what structure you're contouring, but sometimes it works best to skip only a couple slices, sometimes 3. Sometimes you can skip, if the contour is really not changing a lot between slices, you can go all the way up, 5, 6 slices and still get a good accurate contour. So that's pretty much, if knowing those tools that we just went over, that'll get you started. That'll be a really good start. You'll be able to be very functional in the clinic. Sometime in the next video, we'll go over some of these more advanced features.